They've done an incredible job with literally just pulling them straight out of the book and putting them straight in front of me, which has been a really cool experience, totally something new for me. But I think they've done an incredible job totally perfectly capturing like everything that's in those pictures. Stella Nichols, she is an interesting character for sure. You kind of find her at the beginning of the movie in a very, very dark place, I think, in her life, and it starts in a dark place and leaves room for, you know, the events of the story to propel her, I think, through what she's going through and out. She's, you know, a very, very dark, very introverted kind of character. The other friends in the movie, Chuck and Augie, are kind of the closest knit group of people that she kind of has around her. You know, Ramon comes into the story and kind of propels this whole change, I think, in the character, and I think it's a very, very interesting thing to watch. It's the first time I've worked with practical effects, which I know is Guillermo's kind of, you know, his favorite thing to do. I've seen 3 monsters so far. The one monster, the big toe man, he has for sure been the scariest. And that was the funniest thing to me is you know, seeing this guy, Javier, you know, super tall, full prosthetic makeup, sitting with like in a robe in his cast chair, I have to say is the best thing I've seen so far. Like, you know, rotting human being in, you know, a purple bathrobe, just like, you know, hey, I'm just gonna like get a coffee and sit here. But it's really, it makes acting for sure easier rather than having like, you know, a tennis ball and a stick and a green screen. Actually having a terrifying monster standing in front of you is something very special, and I think it's something cool to keep in film, no matter how, you know, good the technology gets.
Probably the most terrifying children's book ever, I think. Honestly, not even like as a children's book, I think it's still pretty scary to anybody because it just captures the imagination in a way that makes you not be able to sleep at night. So I've interacted with the Pale Lady from the story The Dream, pretty close up, face to face, and that is it freaks you out. The prosthetics, like, they have eyes that look real, and she can smile. The guy who is inside the suit like can smile and stuff, and it's very frightening for sure. I think there's a lot of humor in it. Honestly, like me and Augie, we kind of play the comedic relief characters, but we have like such a big arc throughout it where it's almost we're in these terrifying situations, but we're so like habitually drawn towards humor, and that those kind of things happen in certain scary situations, which is kind of a cool thing that I don't think most horror films really tap into, which is kind of cool with this one. It's like a whole range of emotions, honestly. It's like you can laugh, you can be scared out of your mind, and honestly, you can probably cry at the end of the day, which is really cool.
I would describe Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark as a terrifying but fun story about a group of friends who ends up in a really, really scary situation. It follows this gang of teens who stumble upon this book that has some really creepy stories that are written into it, and they end up getting tangled into this big mess. And yeah, it's really scary and really fun. I think that when you read the books, it almost feels like those illustrations are jumping off the page. I think that the books are terrifying and the illustrations are terrifying, and I just think that he could see the potential to make an amazing movie. I mean, they're so chilling when you read the books. I can only imagine how terrifying those stories are going to be when they're brought to life on the screen. André is so talented. He is an unbelievable director. I think as an actor, one of the things that is so amazing about working with André is he's so collaborative, and he really makes us all have such an amazing time on set. And he's so open to hearing, the actors' suggestions and working with us to really create characters and a story that are gonna do these books justice. And André is so talented, and his concept, of the movie is so strong. And I think that he was an incredible choice and the only choice for a movie like this.
I think André is perfect for this movie because I think he really understands horror, especially with Autopsy of Jane Doe. It just he mastered that sort of claustrophobic feel, but with also such a wide scale. And I think he's also just a great director. I mean, he really cares about his actors and he wants them to feel comfortable and safe. And so working with him, I really trusted him and where he wanted to take me in my performance. Ramon fears fighting for something he doesn't ultimately believe in. I think that's really important in his storyline and his arc because he doesn't like conforming, and to many people that would be a negative, that he doesn't really like changing his opinions, and he's very strong, and I think that's admirable for being such a young age and really knowing what he wants and going for that. The thing that Guillermo does so amazing is he has fantastical things mixed with, where that fantasy is mixed with the cruelties of reality. And that's something he just does so well, and he does it here in such a brilliant way. I think we really dive deep with our character development. In a lot of recent horror movies or ghost films, there's a lot of jumping straight to the scares. And here, we really take our time to develop these characters, and we have real depth, and there's real consequences, with also being extremely terrifying.
Guillermo's very well versed in the world of monsters and creatures, and I think he has creative reign in terms of how these creatures come to life and are developed, but they're definitely influenced by the imagery. A lot of decay, like I was saying, death, touches of death, so corpse-like elements, unkempt hair, dirt, that sense of rotting, of earthiness. He's a very thoughtful director, he really takes the time to get the sequence right and get the shot right, and he wants to see the bigger picture. So I think that he brings kind of a gravity to the film, because I'm sure it would be easy to kind of run away with the fantasy aspect of the monsters, but he really makes sure that they're human as well.
Hey, it's Lisa here with more on horror. The Exorcist was the first horror film to be nominated for a Best Picture Oscar. Now, the horror genre has never gotten much love from the Academy, though there still seems to be a bias against scary movies. During awards season, The Exorcist earned 10 Oscar nominations in 1974, including Best Supporting Actress nod for Linda Blair, who was just 15 years old at the time. Now, do you like my shirt? You can get one in the description below.